Have you ever heard that you can make more money in a month than you do in an entire year? It was absolutely shocking when I heard that too. So this video is all about changing the way that you previously thought about money so that you can do it and earn it with grace and with clarity. Because it's easier than you think. In fact, check this out.
It's easier to make $1 million a month than it is to make $1 million a year. And I know that sounds crazy. I get it. It sounds crazy. I'm going to prove it to you, though, in this video. It sounds so crazy. It's easier to make $1 million a month. It's easier to make $1 million a month than it is to make $1 million a year. It's easier to make $1 million in a week than it is to make $1 million in a month. And it's easier to make $1 million in a day than it is to make $1 million in a week. And it's easier to make $1 million in an hour than it is to make $1 million in a day. And I know for sure because I've done all of those multiple times.
So if that sounds interesting to you, I want you to stay locked into this video because I'm going to share with you 3 things you can do right now to radically change the results that you're experiencing in your business. To set the foundation, let's first talk about the 4 ways to build wealth. These come from Myron. You can check out his YouTube video because he goes in depth in these 4 areas of wealth building. But I'm going to give you a crash course. The first level is implementation. So if we're thinking about a house, this is like the ground floor of building wealth. And implementation is really about using yourself, your own ability, your muscle, your grit, your grind to make money. So if you think about someone who is a janitor, or there's someone who the world would consider a blue-collar worker. And if that's you, that's cool. But what I'm sharing with you is that is the lowest level of implementation. My mother was a bus driver, so I'm definitely not dogging blue-collar workers, but that is the lowest level of wealth building because essentially you have to use your own strength in order to earn money. You are an hourly employee. If you don't show up, there is no money coming in. So that is why implementation is the lowest level of wealth building. The second level of building wealth is unification. So these are for the higher level supervisors and the managers who earn anywhere from $60,000, maybe even $80,000 a year because they are building a team around their abilities to make the organization grow. So that is the second level of wealth building, unification. The third level, which is probably the level that you're on, is communication. And if you're not on the communication level, you'll definitely want to be. Stay tuned to the video because you'll see what I mean.
Communication is the essential ingredient for both the 2 top levels of value. And the people who are the best communicators with the best ideas will always be the ones that make the most money.
The communication level is about using your thoughts, using your words, using your messages in order to accumulate wealth. So you see this with leaders of an organization like CEOs. You see professional speakers, coaches, consultants, individuals whose ideas are those that shape organizations. Ideas are those that build products or build services or employ people who can work and do the implementation and the unification while they simply lead and simply guide. That is the power of communication. And communication is also demonstrated in the movies that we see, those actors and actresses and artists and celebrities, those people, even presidents, right? Those individuals are using their words in order to build wealth. That is the essence of building at a communication level. And as you know, you can start off at 6 figures and make multiple millions of dollars when you're at the communication level.
I spent decades getting good at talking and practicing talking. But guess what? The more you practice, the better you get. That's why I say start a YouTube channel. Decide you're going to do a consistent monthly, once a month or once a week video for 10 years. And after 10 years, I promise you, you will be good. And you'll probably be making more money on YouTube then than I'm making right now. The money that YouTube pays us, which is between $35,000, $36,000 and $50,000 a month, is less than 5% of our business revenue. Why? Because YouTube is the place where people find me. You know why? I open my mouth and turn a camera on. And I keep telling people that. Like, if you're going to operate up here in the communication realm, you have to have a mouth. How many of y'all qualify so far? Okay? Then you have to be willing to use it to create a message that somebody cares about. So how do you do that? Well, here's what you do. You go read the Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs and you start applying that principle to your life, that all principles are microcosms of each other. And then you read more books and watch less television. And you figure out some concepts that work for you, you make them work for you, and after they work for you, you go back to the marketplace and report on how they worked. And the more you read, and the more you talk, and the more you write, the better you will get at communication, and the better you will get at thinking.
The last and final way for building wealth, according to Myron Golden, is the imagination level. And that is the highest level because instead of you implementing, unifying, and talking, you are using your thoughts, your ideas in order to change culture, to change the nations, to change the way we would have previously driven a car. Now we have things like Uber, electric vehicles, because individuals at that level are using their ideas, their innovation abilities in order to change a large amount of people's lives with the thoughts and the things that come out of their brain. So imagination is certainly where we want to ascend to. Some of you are future millionaires and billionaires. Think about Jeff Bezos, right? He changed how we buy and sell things because of Amazon. Before, used to go to the mall, ball out at the mall, but now you just click a button and the packages are at your doorstep. That's the power of imagination, and of course, we want to get there. So one of the ways to ascend up your wealth ladder is to build assets. Assets are things that bring money into your pocket. Of course, if you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket. And so you want to start accumulating things that are assets in your life. And I'm not necessarily only talking about real estate or businesses. I'm talking about tangible products and services that you can use as a wealth building mechanism. For example, books. Now, I've helped over 1,375 people write and publish books. So I always know that books are a key foundational asset that every serious wealth builder has to have in their wheelhouse. Why are books so amazing? Books are the number one thing, the number one asset and resource that leaders use. They use it to elevate in college. They use it to make decisions in their business. And so if your business is geared around serving leaders, guess what? Leaders are readers. So you have to be an author of a book. You want to read books yourself because a book is an asset that continues to give over and over and over again.
Anybody could write a book. I remember before I wrote From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, my first book, and it wasn't called From the Trash Man to the Cash Man when I first wrote it. It was called The Ebony Treasure Map, the Roadmap to Riches for African Americans. Okay? That was the first title of that book when I wrote it in 2006. Before I wrote it, I went to a book marketing conference in Orlando. I lived in Pennsylvania. It was 5 days. And at that conference, I spent $18,000 on courses and coaching programs to teach me how to become a best-selling author. And one of the statistics they gave at that conference was there are over 500,000 books published in the United States of America every year. Less than 5% of them ever sell 500 copies. 500. I was like, okay. So I wrote my book, Ebony Treasure Map. Guess how many I got printed in my first run? 500. But when the book got published and I sent an email to my list, guess how many I sold the first week? 900 books. I immediately had to go back into print. I was like, what? The Ebony Treasure Map, the Roadmap to Riches for African Americans. And we sold 900 copies the first week. I was like, oh snap. This book thing is a thing that's a thing. Just our books generate between $30,000 and $40,000 a month.
The next strategy to have that lifestyle changing income that we spoke about, right? Making more money in a month than you do in an entire year is not just about building assets, but it's also about being comfortable talking. You must communicate in order to ascend to the level of communication and imagination. Get good at talking, because if you don't open your mouth, how can people know that you have the solution to their problem? How can they know that you are the answer to their prayers? One of my favorite scriptures says, you have not because you ask not. So if you don't open your mouth and post on YouTube, post on social media, then you are absolutely robbing yourself of the ability to call your people, to tell them that you have their solution, and to accumulate wealth.
When you can communicate, you can create messages that move the masses. You can have conversations that create cash flow. And guess what is interesting about language, communication? Only spiritual beings have language. In fact, if you took some money out of your wallet right now, $20 bill, $100 bill, I left my wallet in the other room, $20 bill, $100 bill, whatever, you got it in your hand, you got this money in your hand, you look at it, what's backing it? What's backing our currency in the United States of America? What backs it? Nothing. There's nothing that backs it. Since Nixon took us off the gold standard, there's nothing backing the money. So how could $100 be worth $100 if there's nothing backing it? Here's why. How? Because we believe it's worth it, because here's what it says, $100. So $100 is worth $100. Watch this now, because of the message it carries and the faith it creates. Better than getting a better job, it would serve you and your family better to become a better communicator.
The last strategy that I want to share with you is about building platforms that accelerate your communication, as well as advertise your services in a way that feels authentic. Let's put social back into social media. I'm not talking about mindlessly scrolling day in and day out on social media and commenting and liking and sharing. I'm talking about being intentional about building your platform. Choose a platform, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, you name it. Choose one and stick to it. Myron happens to love YouTube for a very important reason. It's helped him move from $0 to $40 million and counting, because he's built a platform on this channel. It's not too late. You have absolutely all the best resources right at your fingertips. You have the ability to build your assets. You have the ability to communicate. You also have the ability to use platforms that are freely available to you. You just got to use them. So I want to congratulate you in advance, knowing that you are absolutely created for more. If that's you, I want to see you in the comments and just type in, Chantel, I'm created for more. You get me. You get me. And yes, I get you. I love you. And I'll see you in the next video.